Well, it happened again. They wrote a newspaper article about me and they called me an Islamophobe again. Sometimes I feel like I ought to just have it tattooed on my forehead so we could just skip calling me that. But I'm not an Islamophobe because, you see, Islamophobe is not really a real word. It was made up by the Muslim Brotherhood in the early 90s, and its purpose is to suppress free speech because, after all, what an Islamophobe is someone who says something that Muslims don't like. So, it's a fascist term meant to suppress. See, what it says is that I'm a little crazy, or at least neurotic, or perhaps even psychotic, because it's a phobia. This is all about a feeling. But here's the odd thing, I'm all about facts, so it doesn't apply to me at all. It's just meant to smear me and slur me and make me shut up. Good luck on that. So we're supposed not to offend a minority of 1.5 billion people. That's a big minority, but we're not supposed to offend it because actually that's about Sharia law. And under Sharia slander law, a Muslim may not be offended, never mind if it's true or not. So what it attempts to do is to suppress facts and truth. I am not an Islamophobe. I am a man who fears Islam, and I have a good reason to fear it. I know what's in a Sharia law text, and I know what Sharia law does to people like me. Should be a dhimmi, D-H-I-M-M-I, one who is suppressed by Islam and does everything that the Muslims want, but instead it just says that I'm a kafir. You know, there's another thing I don't like about that Sharia law too, and that's that jihad stuff. I don't like jihad because it's all directed at me, the kafir. Now, let's get something out of the way. Every time you bring up jihad around Muslims, they say, oh, well, the greater jihad is the inner struggle, which all religions share. No, let's talk about jihad from the standpoint of the hadith. In Bukhari, which has about 7,000 traditions that Muhammad gave, roughly 20% of them are about jihad. That's a lot, because that says there's 1,400 hadith about jihad. And if you go through and sort them all out into greater jihad and lesser jihad, you discover that it's over 98% about killing kafirs, and only less than 2% about that wonderful inner struggle that we all share in all religions. So jihad is primarily killing kafirs. I've already established that I'm a kafir, so do you see why I'm a little uncomfortable? And yes, I fear Islam. But that's not being an Islamophobe. What else am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of the suppression of women's rights. Once again, Islam is heavily biased towards women because a woman either belongs to her husband or her father. I don't want women to have to belong to anybody. There's a suppression of free speech, and as you know, if you know me, that really gets on my nerves. Also, Islamophobia is about not ever talking about the history of Islam, and it's the history of Islam that frightens me the absolute most. Over 270 million kafirs have died over 1,400 years. And then I also see the annihilation of civilizations, Christian civilizations in Turkey, North Africa, Egypt, Iraq. I see the suppression and destruction of Hindu culture in Afghanistan, Buddhist culture also in Afghanistan. This frightens me when I see civilizations disappear, and it scares me even more when I'm told by otherwise good people that for me to mention this means I'm crazy. I'm an Islamophobe. I'm not crazy, and I'm not an Islamophobe. I'm a man who fears Islam because of its proven history. I'm also afraid of what I see as a creeping fascism in our government today, which attempts to tell me what I should say and not say. But the real reason we hear so much about Islamophobia is this. Most people are decent, kind people, and they have something called a reputation. And they don't want their reputation smeared by this smear term. And so therefore it cows people. It keeps people who are otherwise good people, makes them silent in the face of oppression. Let me come back to something. Fear is good. Phobia means you're crazy. I'm afraid of Islam, but I am not crazy. Thank you.